The commitment we have to our students in the College of Ed is matched by their commitment to the profession and is in line with their ambitions and their goals to be excellent classroom teachers. And not just excellent in that the students love them, but excellent in that they're effective.
Doing things hands-on is really important as a teacher. Being in a classroom and being there each day, seeing how different the kids are day to day. You never know if they're having a good day, a bad day, and their home lives really affect them.
In our education classes, we always had setups that we were sitting in groups, and we learned so much about cooperative learning, and then that's how we learned in almost all of our classes. We were doing group projects or literacy circles or all kinds of things that we had to work with our classmates and share our ideas.
Many of the faculty in the College of Education are engaged in research that takes them into schools to answer the very questions that our schools find valuable in their work. And so as our faculty engage in those research questions, we often and regularly actually include students in those pursuits. So students are also in classrooms with hands-on learning, but from a research perspective. They get to watch school systems and teachers develop questions that they need answers to so that they can better do their jobs. Our job is to make sure that what we contribute are high-quality professionals in the field of education that have a significant impact on the growth and development of children and students.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening to talk a little bit about the College of Education and Teacher Education programs. My name is Dara Hall. I'm the Executive Director of Teacher Education and Student Success. I'm joined here this evening with a number of our students as well as a faculty member, and we're here to answer your questions. So I'm going to have them go ahead and introduce themselves each.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm a senior. I'm in the Inclusive Early Childhood Education program, and my hopes is to be an inclusive educator for kindergarten or first grade.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Williams and I'm studying to be a special educator.
Hi everyone, my name is Allison Curtin. I'm a senior here at JMU studying middle school education.
Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay Price. I'm a current junior at JMU and I'm studying to be an elementary school teacher, and I have an additional minor in teaching English as a second language.
Hello, I'm Dr. Robbie Higdon. Sorry about that. Hi, let's try that again. I'm Dr. Robbie Higdon, and I'm a faculty member in middle, secondary, and mathematics education. And I have the privilege of working with students who want to be middle and high school teachers.
Well, welcome to all my panelists. Thanks for joining us this evening. And to the people that are viewing us this evening, please remember to put your questions and anything we can help answer in your comments box. We'll get started with a question for our students because our viewers are people thinking about joining us at JMU. And so I thought we'll start with, what do you wish you had known as a JMU freshman? What do you know now that we can share with some of our incoming freshmen? Who wants to start us off? Should we, Sarah, you have some?
Yeah, I can answer. Something that's, just something that I've realized as I've gotten older. I wish I was freshman year more bold about getting involved in things on campus. I got involved in a couple things freshman year, but sophomore year was really the year where I started to branch out and I got involved in things through my major. And, I tried for a lot of things and things that maybe I thought that I couldn't do, and I tried anyway. And I'm really happy I did, because I got a lot of opportunities that I would have never thought I would have access to freshman year.
Awesome. Allison, you want to share some ideas?
Absolutely. I agree with Sarah. I wish I had known all the opportunities that the College of Education offered as far as clubs and organizations go. In fact, I am the president of Kappa Delta Pi, which is our International Honor Society for the College of Education. It's a great organization that I was able to start my sophomore year, and I look back and just wish I.
Great. Natalie, what about you?
I'm going off of both what Sarah and Allison said. I wish I had known all the general resources that JMU as a whole has to offer students. These are things such as the X Labs, where you can make t-shirts, you can make buttons, or you can go to the VR rooms in any of the libraries and play VR. There are just so many things that are offered to students, and they're completely at no cost. And I just wish I knew about them while I was on campus at the time to take full advantage.
Wonderful. And Lindsay, go ahead and share yours.
I think for me, I would say I wish I had realized how much support I had on campus, especially within the education program. You have your professors, you have with the cohort model, you have all of your classmates, you have your practicum teachers, your advisors, and I wish I had made more use of seeking help from them in the beginning.
Awesome. And I'm going to ask Dr. Higdon to finish this off by telling us a little bit about the ROOP learning community.
So following up on what all the students have been saying, we do offer for incoming freshmen a residential learning community. It's called ROOP, named after a local lifelong educator here in the community who was also very important to JMU. And so this is where you would have an opportunity to live in a dorm with other students who are pursuing teacher licensure, take certain classes together, and we even teach the classes right there in your dorm. We go out into the community and tour schools and do service learning work, and this would start as soon as the fall of your freshman year. So if you're more interested in that, make sure you're checking out the information Office of Residence Life is sending out. And then you can also always submit specific questions to the chat, and that'll get to me and I can respond to you via email or come back to it later.
Wonderful. Thank you. And we have some of our questions coming in. One of the questions from Dewan on YouTube was, could you explain the educational media minor and the benefits that can come with it? We have a lot of wonderful minors. That's from our Learning Technology and Leadership Education department. And they have a number of wonderful minors. We don't have anyone on the panel, I believe, that is in that minor right now. Is that correct? Okay. So I don't have anyone that can speak directly to you, but if you contact me, and my information is on there, but if you contact Dara Hall, I will get you lots of great information and some contacts about that minor. The great thing right now about studying educational media is that there, as you can see by what's going on with COVID-19, there are so many opportunities to pursue technology in education. And that will help prepare you very successfully for it. So it absolutely is a great minor to pursue while you're in the College of Education. We have another question from Shay asking about whether it's a good idea to continue on to get a master's degree right away. Is it harder to get a job without it? So the question about getting a job, you will get employed as a JMU graduate, whether you decide to leave at the end of your undergraduate degree or bachelor's degree, or if you choose to stay on for a 5th year in a master's program or for longer, depending on which master's program you choose, you can do either. You can graduate or you can continue on into a 5th year. And our secondary education program does offer a continuous 5-year program where you can major in a content. Dr. Higdon, do you want to talk a little bit about that program?
Sure. So as Dr. Hall was saying, and as you'll hear from the students, we have multiple pathways to licensure within our college, and we work with every student individually. So like she said, we have models where if you want to come out at the end of your undergraduate career fully licensed, ready to teach, elementary, special education, many different fields, we've got that for you. If you're pursuing thinking about licensure in grades 6 through 12, now that's a little different than what Allison does for middle ed, and she may hopefully come back and explain that program. You can get a content area degree, so a biology degree, a history degree, an English degree, a political science degree, and then you stay for a 5th year to complete a Master of Arts in Teaching. And it's only after that 5th year you are fully licensed, but you're fully licensed in a specific content area. And we've got some great guides on our College of Ed website. Dara, we might need to send that out. I'm not sure. And there's checklists saying, okay, do I want to do this in 4 or 5 years, like for secondary ed? And we've got some questions for you to answer to kind of feel which program would be best for you and your interests. There is no one right way to becoming a teacher. We have many journeys. If we had more time, I'd tell you how I started off life as wanted to be a high school history teacher. I wound up teaching middle school science and got a PhD in science education. So, your pathway is going to be a lifelong journey. So, but we do have lots of options, but especially if you're thinking secondary ed and you have a real passion for the content area and you really want to study more in that content area and also teach, let's talk about that 5-year program within my department.
Absolutely. And Allison, do you want to quickly just share a little bit about what middle education looks like and the difference?
Absolutely. So as I was told earlier, and as you heard from Dr. Higdon and Dr. Hall, I am a middle ed major. So that means that I am specializing in teaching grades 6 through 8 explicitly. Being middle ed, I actually have 2 concentrations. My concentrations are history and science, but you can also pick from English and math, and you can pick any of those 4. So total so far, being a senior, I've had about 7 practicums from all my education courses throughout middle schools in the Shenandoah Valley, and have had really a great opportunity to kind of dive into a middle school program in a middle school classroom.
Awesome. Our next question comes from a viewer that asks, Maggie asks, what is the difference between our inclusive early childhood education program and our special education program? And we do have students in both of those programs. So I will let them each share a little bit about their experience and what they know, and then I'll clarify anything if we need to. So let's start with Natalie. Do you want to share about your program?
Sure. So I am in the Inclusive Early Childhood Education program, like I said earlier. And the way that I explain inclusive early childhood education, we are kind of the bridge in between general ed and special ed, where we can teach a general ed classroom, preschool through 3rd grade. But in the case that we have students that have special needs in our classroom, any student that just needs extra help, we are equipped and able enough to help them without needing the resources from a special ed teacher. So, and also the case where the teacher is required to be the special education case manager and the general ed teacher, we are able to play both roles and be both of those people for the students. So that's just the easiest way that I can put it. Our program only does go through preschool through 3rd grade.
Hi, so I'll touch on special education. So my program is K through 12. So when I was looking for schools, I really liked JMU's program because it has that flexibility. I now know that I want to teach high school, but when I was coming into college, I really had no idea. So it's nice that it's K through 12. I don't have to pick yet. And also I have practicum experiences in both elementary school and high school. I had both this semester. So that gave me kind of experience in both to see where I'm leaning. Also, we have the choice. You can do general curriculum or you can do an adapted curriculum add-on. So I'm doing the add-on so that I also have options open there. I'm very indecisive, so it's helpful for me to have all of that, but I always knew that I wanted to teach students with special needs. So the special ed program has been great for me and has offered me so much flexibility and so much experience in the classroom.
Thank you both. So the way that our programs work is that in Virginia, you are licensed and then you can get endorsements. So as Natalie explained, she'll get endorsements in both early childhood education in pre-K3 and in early childhood special ed. Sarah will get endorsements in both K-12, special education general curriculum, accessing the general curriculum, and in accessing the adapted curriculum. So that's kind of what's happening. And we have a question from Evelina, actually a couple on questions about elementary education that I want to make sure that Lindsay gets an opportunity to share a little bit about her experience. Lindsay, Evelina's interested not only in knowing about the education program, but also interested in learning more about the TESOL program, teaching English to speakers of other languages.
Yes, so I recently added on that TESOL minor for this past semester. The TESOL minor that I am doing is a non-licensure minor, meaning I will not get any ESL license afterwards. Basically, I am taking classes that are teaching me about students who speak other languages and how to teach them English. But just for my own general knowledge, it's not a certification of any sort. But it has been great experience for me. I had the extra space in my schedule. I thought it would be a really good opportunity to kind of bring that knowledge into the classroom because I don't know where I want to end up teaching. I do know there is a TESOL where you do get licensed, and maybe Dr. Hall can talk a little more about that because I don't have all the details on that. But yes, with the elementary education, the minor that I'm doing with it is the non-licensure.
Absolutely. And there is an opportunity, depending on your schedule and depending on your interests, to do both programs or to add TESOL into your program, which will enable you to either act as a primary teacher to speakers of other languages, or you could do really what we're doing in most of our programs that you've probably heard already, which is we work in inclusive environments where you do have students that are not native English speakers, or you have students that have special needs. And so when you add some of these different minors or additional programs, then you're able to meet the needs of all of your students in your classroom. And that is one thing in JMU, you are prepared to meet the needs of the learners in your classrooms. So I just want to quickly, Evelina also asked about scholarships, specifically for elementary education, and I do want to capture that. There are scholarships for each college as well as, for each department or program, as well as for the College of Education. And actually, I think we have some scholarship recipients sitting among us. I think Natalie, I remember that. Anyone else that received a scholarship recently? Natalie, you want to share your scholarship? Do you remember who you got it from?
So I got 2 scholarships from the College of Education this year, which I'm so thankful for. I got one that was just this one was to the elementary early and reading education department. And this one, correct me if I'm wrong, but also gets sent out to elementary education majors as well as the inclusive early childhood education, because we fall under them as well. And then I was lucky enough to also get another one from the Exceptional Education Foundations department.
I have a great question from Giovanna that I'd like us to talk about, and it's about this idea of student teaching. So first, let me clarify what field experience looks like in JMU. We do multiple different types of field experiences. We do start out with opportunities for early field experience, which often has observations, and then we do our field experiences where we do practical work, and they're called practicum. And then we do culminate in what's called student teaching. So that's in our last semester usually, depending on the program. It could, or near the end of our program. And our student teaching is really where we're engaged as a co-teacher in the classroom working with a cooperating teacher. And we are doing all the lesson planning, and we are prepared to take that on. So that does happen at the end of the program, and it can happen anywhere in Virginia. So we do allow, we have placements available in the Tidewater region, in the Richmond area, in Northern Virginia, and as far south as the Roanoke area. So you do get to, or you can stay by JMU in what we call our local area and work in one of our 7 local school divisions. So I just want to make sure to capture that practicum is what all of our students here have experienced, because they're not graduated yet, so they're not done yet. And so that is in response to that great question. So you begin student teaching at the very end. But if you're asking, which is what I think you're asking, when do we begin practicum? Which really means when do we begin getting out in the field and starting that classroom experience. We do that in a number of different ways, service learning and some of our organizations. So I'm going to let our folks that are here in the panel share, and we'll start with Lindsay about her experiences, because I think the question might have been specific to elementary, but we'll move on from there and give everybody an opportunity to share some of how early we can get into the classroom.
So for me, I started my sophomore year doing kind of what Dr. Hall was saying with the observations through my Education 300 class, which is the Foundations of Education. I got to go to a school in Harrisonburg once a week and read with the students for an hour. So that was a really great kind of bridge into my practicum experience, which I did for the first time last fall. I was in a kindergarten classroom once a week for the whole semester, and then they do something called immersion week, where they put you in the classroom for an entire week, so you don't have any JMU classes, you're just working in your practicum classroom for the whole week, which was really amazing. Kindergarten and like early elementary was something I was always interested in, so this kind of really solidified my passion, what I wanted to do. But they also give you, for your second practicum, another chance to work with older, like upper elementary students. So if you find that younger elementary isn't what you're vibing with, then you have another chance with the older students.
Awesome. Many chances, in fact. So it's going to be exciting. Sarah, why don't you share a little bit of your early experiences?
Sure. So the first time I got into the classroom was I believe my second semester, freshman year. I was also in Education 300, so we had a service learning project. So I spent time with a little boy in a first grade classroom, helping him read. He was an English language learner, and also received special education services. So that was really interesting for me to see that overlap in the classroom and to work on reading with him. And then this past semester, I had some observation in middle school and high school, which was really interesting. So that was observing for my middle secondary ed class. And then I started practicum this past semester. I was in an elementary school class for the first half of the semester. I was working in first grade. And then the second half of the semester, we switched to high school. So that was great that we get to experience both in the same semester. Like I said, I'm still not 100% sure what age I want to teach. So that was really nice to be in both and to get a chance to go back to the elementary school. I haven't been able to teach that in a long time, so that was really fun and such a great experience to get to know the students and to get to know their needs.
Awesome. Allison, can you share some of your experiences in middle ed?
Absolutely. So I was very fortunate to take Education 300 my freshman year. So from day one, basically being at JMU, I've had the opportunity to be in a classroom. As far as middle ed goes, as I said previously, I have two concentrations, which are history and science. So my senior year was my big year of practicum. During the fall semester, I focused on my history concentration. So I had a history methods class and then a history practicum that went along with it. I was in a 7th grade history class that was really fun to be a part of. And then this past semester, I did basically the same thing over again, but for science, and I was in a 6th grade science class.
Awesome. And Natalie, you want to share some of your experiences?
So like everyone said, I started my experiences in my Education 300 class, but also with my ExEd 200 class, which is Foundations of Special Education. And I was lucky enough to double count my experiences because I was in a 8th grade special ed classroom, which I really enjoyed because with my program, since we're only licensed up to 3rd grade, there was no chance I would have been placed in an 8th grade classroom, and I really loved it. And then also with the Inclusive Early Childhood Education program, we are in practicum every single semester. So I have been lucky enough to have 4 experiences already. So I feel like very equipped. My first experience was a community-based setting. So I was in a private in-home daycare, which to some people, they wouldn't see that as like actual practicum, but for our certifications, I totally see, because that is something that we could totally do. And then my next placement was a a preschool setting. And this was an inclusive preschool. So these students were all there. It was a free preschool through the state of Virginia. So they all had to apply to be there. And then my next placement was a kindergarten classroom. And then my last one that I just had was second grade. And I all have loved them so much.
Awesome. Thanks, students. And Dr. Higdon, I hope you will share a little bit about how you work with students in early, as their freshman year, getting them out as well.
Sure. So again, another shameless plug for our learning community, but that's one unique thing is students who are in our residential learning community. You've heard this class mentioned, it's called Education 300 Foundations. Well, we have our students take that fall semester, their freshman year, and we build in, this year we did 4 visits. So during our regular class time, which it's a blocked class, meaning that it meets from 8 in the morning until 10:45, but that allows us to use our class time to go visit local schools. So everybody visits an elementary school, a middle school, a high school. We did a place-based tour, and we went out to see a community center that served as a one-room schoolhouse out in a free Black community. We went to the former school that was for African Americans in Harrisonburg, which is now a community center. And we went to the Rockingham County Schools farm. Okay, so that's a unique experience. We also, and other professors do this. I know there's some other professors that teach Education 300, and they get their students involved in community agencies. They go and spend a day working at the Children's Museum, cleaning up or developing exhibits. They go visit some community agencies to serve populations within Harrisonburg who are struggling or who are trying to put their lives back together after a traumatic event. And so there's different unique opportunities, but again, we are so fortunate that our campus sits in the middle of this very vibrant community that welcomes us. And so there's just so many opportunities that you get to engage in the community and see what's going on with families who are the students are coming, who will be in your classrooms. It helps you understand some of the things that maybe they are facing as a family, some of the community agencies that are there that you might be working with once you're in your own classroom. So we're really excited that we get to offer that. And there's other professors that do. You heard Natalie talk about ExEd 200. You heard Sarah and Lindsay talk about Education 300. I know Lindsay took a class called LED 310. And we have a professor that works, for some of you elementary. I know that Dr. Bodle, Dr. Thacker have taken students out to Montpelier, which is the birthplace of James Madison, okay? J. Maddie, we like to call him. And they learned how to incorporate social studies curriculum and things like that while actually doing an archaeological dig. We could go on and on. I see Sarah and Allison and Natalie and Lindsay shaking their heads because they're all thinking of experience. We really try to embrace our relationships within our community and get you out and like Natalie said, trying to help us all understand that teaching takes place in more than just the classroom. Like she said, that private in-home daycare or a community center, Boys and Girls Club, we do a lot with them.
Yes, we do. We have a number of students in both Boys and Girls Club and in Big Brothers Big Sisters, and lots of community engagement that goes on where you have the opportunity to work with children early on in your programs. So I hope that that our panelists answered your questions about student teaching experience, because we had a couple of different people that inquired about that. We have a question from Michelle. She's asking very specifically about what classes to take, SCOM and math, and we do have some students that could answer those questions, but really the way that I think I want to respond is talking about advising. we have some really wonderful advising that happens in the College of Education. You will have a first-year advisor. You will have somebody that's connected to education that will help you determine the best classes for you. And we have peer advising as well. So the students that you're looking at are all pretty much involved in some capacity in helping with an advising opportunity. In fact, Natalie runs, she is the executive member that runs an advising center for our students. But Sarah, do you want to jump in real quick and talk about SCOM to help answer that one specific question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say really quickly that when picking SCOM, for teachers, I would recommend picking a group class just because it's so important to know how to work with other people in education, especially with presentations and stuff. You'll work with a variety of people and on a variety of different subjects, but group work is something that you'll carry with you throughout the College of Ed, so getting that in early will be really, really helpful for you.
Thank you. And there were questions about which is the best math class, and do I take foreign language? And those will be specific questions that are best answered by your advisors. But quick answers is there are a lot of different opportunities, and it depends on which program you're in to determine what you need to take. So it's really important to know if you're secondary education, what's your content area in order to answer that question. Or there was a question about for elementary, do I need foreign language? And the answer is no, but it's an option if you're interested, but it is not a requirement. So really taking advantage of advising is something that I highly recommend. When we asked early on, what do I wish I had known as a freshman? That would be something that I would really recommend, is that you take advantage of the resources that are available to you in talking to your advisors to make sure you're taking the best classes and to come up with a plan. We often, when we want to be teachers, want to do it ourselves, right? We're all but go and tap those advisors. We have some questions about licensure and certification. And just to describe that, I just want you to know that I'm the person that's going to sign off on your license in the end. And it is a Virginia approved program that you're in, but there is reciprocity in most all other states. And if you have a very specific question, you can contact me and we'll sit down and look at what we need to for your state. Because as long as there's a comparable endorsement area, you will be able to get licensed in your state. But there might be additional tests that you might need to take or other things that you need to look into. And so I'm happy to help provide information about that. Does anybody have any of our panelists want to weigh in on either advising or licensure?
I just want to say something about advising. I honestly recommend sitting down with your advisor every semester when you're getting ready to pick out your classes, just to make sure that the classes that you're taking are on track with where you're supposed to be. And I'm sure everyone has had an awesome advisor. I know my advisor, I was lucky enough to have him as my freshman advisor and throughout all my years, so he never changed. And I remember the first time I stepped in his door as a freshman, he wrote my 4-year plan, and I was like, wow, this is happening. But it kept me at bay and let me know what things I should be looking to take every semester and to make sure I was on track.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
And sorry, can someone on the panel maybe help our students understand, how do I know who my advisor is? And think about from that very first, from that 1780s, from summer springboard, because I know that's something I'm not familiar with. So
right. So
how do I know who my advisor is? Just a real quick.
So our students will be contacted by their freshman advisor. Yeah, wonderful. Thanks so much, everybody, for those conversations. We're going to switch gears real quick and talk a little bit about the study abroad. We had some questions about study abroad, and so I'd like Allison to share about her experience.
So unfortunately, I've never actually had the opportunity to study abroad. Being middle ed, you basically take as many education classes as elementary, but as many content as secondary, because here at JMU we like to say you're becoming a master of your content. But due to everything happening, travel and study abroad has been canceled. But one wonderful program here that I know many enjoy in the College of Education is a study abroad in Ireland. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Higdon, who is one of the main representatives for this study abroad.
Okay, you got to put a time limit on me, but yes. So we have amazing study abroad programs housed in our own college, to Northern Ireland, to Kenya, to Costa Rica, Spain, South Korea, Japan. And again, that's why it's very important to sit down with your advisor. And if you know you're interested in that, let us know early, because some programs work better when you're trying to fulfill your gen ed requirements or those early educational foundation coursework. And so you might want to jump on those the summer after your freshman or sophomore year, or like my program that goes to Ireland. And we stay at a former boarding school. It does look like Hogwarts, yes. And then you go every day for about 3 weeks, and you are placed in a school, an elementary or a primary school or a secondary school. And then on the weekends we travel, and it's been an amazing experience. We've even been able to bring over some of the teachers from our schools in Northern Ireland. They've come over here and visited our schools, and we've taken teachers from this area back over to Northern Ireland, and it's a wonderful experience. I saw that we had a question from Megan. I hope that kind of helps you figure out there's some very content specific programs. For example, one of the programs in Costa Rica is definitely designed for students who are studying TESOL, whether it's like what we've learned, whether it's for licensure or you're doing a minor non-teaching because you want to enhance your skills. There's different programs. So just note that early in your career and just talk about your interests, because then beyond the College of Ed, there are tons of programs run through the Gen Ed department and stuff. And I noticed that we had a question from Lucy, and Dr. Hall, you may want to jump in here too. Yes, you can also student teach internationally. And we had a student this year headed to France. And unfortunately, she did have to return home. But we have had several students who actually do a portion of their student teaching experience abroad.
That's right.
So,
this we have practicum. We do. We have practicum. We have student teaching. We have all sorts of opportunities abroad. And your advisor really is an excellent person. And then they also have abroad experience meetings that you can find out more information. We're unfortunately, due to time, we're going to do our final question. And the question that we're going to answer is, what makes the James Madison University College of Education graduates stand out when they apply for jobs in teaching after they've graduated? So from our students, what do you think makes you stand out as a JMU graduate? Sarah?
I think with special education specifically, something that, and I mentioned it in the beginning, something that I'm really thankful for is the flexibility. And I'll be licensed through K through 12. So, I can start in the elementary school, I can jump to high school, I can jump back. And also having so many different content areas that are covered in special education, and then having the adapted and general curriculum, it just opens me up to so many opportunities. I'm the type of person who is always up for a new challenge. So I think that that's really important for special education. I'll always have somewhere to be and always be prepared for that job.
And that is a critical teaching shortage area, as are all of the areas that all of our panelists are in right now. Allison, I know that KDP often does some information about careers. You want to talk about a little bit about why JMU grads are sought after?
Yes, absolutely. So touching base with Kappa Delta Pi, we are a professional organization, so we offer a lot of networking opportunities for you to get involved within school systems around the Valley and even around the country. So that is a plus. Personally speaking, I think we stand out due to the fact that we are so well trained by the end of your program. Speaking as a senior, I feel that my professors, my advisors, my cooperating teachers and practicums have prepared me for the education field, whatever it may be coming up in the future. You know, education is just one of those careers that keeps changing. It's one of those fields where, you know, diversity is essential, flexibility is essential. And learning that early on, like I said previously, I was in a classroom by spring semester my freshman year. So just having those opportunities to become comfortable within a classroom environment and to know what to do to, like, given any situation is something that I think really helps us stand out. And also, last point, speaking from a history side, being the history concentration I am, James Madison University was once former Madison College. We were the State Teachers College of Virginia. So you have that reputation behind you. You have all these years of, you know, preparing Virginia teachers and teachers around the world from our institution for this career.
Great. Natalie or Lindsay or Dr. Hayden, did any of you have anything additional? I want to share that I get to work with all of our school divisions, and our principals contact us. They want JMU graduates. They want to hire our students. There is no greater joy in my life than hearing constantly how wonderful and prepared our students are, and how when they get into the classroom, that it's not just that they are ready for taking on the experience of being a teacher, but that their students in the classroom are learning. And that's what matters, and that's what education is all about. At this point, I want to be able to share that if your question was not answered today during this panel discussion, we'd be happy to answer them. You can go to our website. The College of Education website is jmu.edu/COE for College of Education. And we have a lot of information, and you are always welcome to email me. My information is on the Choices website, but I am Dara Hall at halldm@jmu.edu, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I hear that from Office of Admissions that there were a lot of questions that we didn't get through. So please feel free to contact me with any questions that you have. I am going to go ahead and finish off. I normally have a little statement that I'm supposed to share, so I will go ahead and grab that up. Oops, do we have it? Nope. So basically, please share your comments and questions. Our visit Virtual Choices for more information, and we will look forward to seeing you next year at James Madison University. Congratulations, and we can't wait to meet you. Take care. Have a good night, everyone.